How much power did Goku gain during the 7 years between the Cell Saga and the Buu Saga of Dragon Ball Z? In this video, we're going to discuss that. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and I just wanted to let you all know that Laughingstock Media is now on Patreon. With recent and ongoing changes to YouTube, monetization and creating weekly content has become more difficult than ever. So this Patreon will allow me to continue making videos for you guys into the foreseeable future. If each of you guys who watch these videos put in just $1, it would make a massive difference. So help support Laughingstock Media on Patreon today. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, so join me in this video as someone you saw on my last video that this is a follow-up to, and his name is...
What's up guys, MJTV here, and thank you for having me back on the channel, Mike.
So in our last video together, we discussed how much power Gohan lost between the Cell Saga and the Buu Saga. This time we're going to flip that on its head and talk about how much power Goku gained. Now, in order to fully explain just how powerful Goku became, we're going to get into Goku's power versus Perfect Cell during their fight in the Cell games.
Going back to the Cell Saga, it's very interesting to always discuss Cell versus Goku because till this day, there's still a misconception to how strong Goku was against Cell, and so many people have done videos talking about this at this point, but still the misconception lies, and that is the fact that yes, Cell was astronomically more powerful than Goku. Goku went in there and he went all out, and he wasn't even anything to Cell, to the point to where Cell would power up multiple times afterwards to face his son, and Goku was shocked at how much power Cell had. And Goku would go on to battle Cell in this hard fought battle, but all it would really do is to showcase just how much weaker he was. Now what's interesting is post Room of Spirit and Time, he went to about half and showcased his energy to Korin. And Korin told us that this wasn't even enough against the suppressed Cell that he had been sensing up until that moment. So take that with a grain of salt because that is huge.
Now of course, when it comes to numbers after the Frieza Saga, we don't have any more power levels, so it all really becomes a matter of opinion and subjective. But when it comes to my personal scaling of Goku against Perfect Cell, generally the way that I feel is that Goku is probably in the neighborhood of about 50% of Cell's power when he was Perfect Cell. So basically, Cell was 2 times more powerful than Goku, which begins to show when Cell ramps up his power at the end of their fight and then starts dominating Goku, which prompts Goku to use his instant transmission Kamehameha. And even after that, when Cell regenerates and he's seemingly exhausted, he still says that he would be able to defeat everyone else who's standing on the cliff. And after Cell is given the Senzu Bean by Goku when he goes face to face against Gohan during their fight, Cell mentions just how strong Gohan was, when he says, "Perhaps what Son Goku said wasn't just a bluff after all, but still, it's a joke to say that he can defeat me. I'll kill him before he can land a blow." Which again is giving us 2 bits of information here. Number 1, Cell thinks that Gohan is kind of a threat to his power. He's more powerful than the amount of power that Goku showed against Cell. But number 2, Cell still knows that he's handily above Gohan, which he demonstrates when he goes full power after Gohan becomes a Super Saiyan 2. So I think it's pretty clear that Goku was still significantly behind him, and also Gohan.
I agree with you. It's hard to really gauge the numbers, but at the bare minimum, you could say Goku was multiple times weaker than Cell. And there's certain statements like you mentioned on the hillside. Even after regenerating and being tired, he still felt that he could take out not only Goku with the Senzu Bean, mind you, because he did say, take your Senzu Bean, but he also thought he could take out everyone else on the cliff as well. So that's pretty damn strong. It just shows how much of a beast Cell was.
So with that being said, let's now compare his power to Gohan. As we already established, Gohan's Super Saiyan was above Goku's 100%. This is why Gohan thought that Goku was holding back, because he was comparing his own full power to Goku's. But then Gohan gets even more powerful when he unleashes his full hidden potential and unlocks the Super Saiyan 2 form. Now, when comparing Gohan's Super Saiyan to Goku's, I don't believe that he was multiple times stronger, because he was still below full power Perfect Cell. But with that being said, I would say that Super Saiyan Gohan was somewhere between 25 to 50% stronger than Goku. Then we have to factor in the 2 other boosts that Gohan got. Because not only did Gohan achieve Super Saiyan 2, which is a 2 times boost from Super Saiyan, but he also unleashed his hidden potential, which is something I feel like a lot of people overlook when discussing how powerful Gohan was. Because Gohan's hidden potential wasn't the Super Saiyan 2 form, but rather a hidden reservoir of power he was only ever able to tap into through rage up to that point, which is something we see further elaborated on in the Buu Saga, when the old Kai unleashes Gohan's hidden potential through the ultimate state, which is so powerful that it puts Super Saiyan 3 Goku to shame. So when it comes to Gohan's hidden potential, it's difficult to discern the exact boost here, because again, we don't have numbers, but I'd say that due to his performance against Cell in his prior training, it gave him up to an additional 2 times on top of his Super Saiyan 2, which means that Gohan would have been around 4 times stronger when he goes Super Saiyan 2 and unleashes his full potential.
Yeah, I can see that being the case because this is something you and I discussed a while back. The possibility that we didn't really even get to see the full potential of Gohan, at least not until that one-arm struggle with Cell where he unleashed all of his power for the first time ever because he had constantly been holding back and he unleashed it all in one huge Kamehameha. So yeah, I agree with you. I feel like Gohan, at bare minimum, you could say like 3 to 4 times, but you could probably even highball it because of this unseen, untapped potential that he had in him, where maybe he was even many times stronger than Goku, because Gohan's power would even echo into the Buu arc where he is kind of like that entry level in the next arc. That's how strong this guy was.
This leads to the 7-year time skip, during which Goku is dead. But despite that, Goku's training didn't end, because he was able to retain his body and travel to heaven with King Kai, where he trained under him, as well as perhaps a number of other martial arts masters, for 7 years.
In the anime and in the manga, we both see Goku training and meditating and possibly even image training. Now, if you've been a longtime fan of Dragon Ball and you've seen what image training can do, also more specifically and recently in Super with how strong Golden Frieza became. So Goku and the other world kept training, kept honing his skills, and kept wanting to progress as a warrior. Now, what's interesting about this is, in order for us to kind of understand how strong he became, Mike, we have to compare the statements that Vegeta gave us in the Buu arc before the tournament. So you and I talked about this. Vegeta constantly dogs your boy Gohan. Like, he constantly goes off on him and constantly tells him, you're weak, you're not what you used to be. And this is a very different Vegeta than what we knew of. Vegeta, when he first saw Super Saiyan 2 Gohan in the Cell Saga, was completely terrified. Like, he was petrified at how strong this dude was as a kid. And then of course he got to see his full potential when he launched that huge Kamehameha that finally defeated Cell. And here, completely different tone, bro. Vegeta has confidence in taking on Goku. He has confidence in taking on and defeating Gohan. So at this point, Mike, with the 7-year training, Goku has surpassed Gohan again. That's just point blank,
And this is something that's confirmed for us by other statements that are made around the same time, particularly when we see Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan on Babidi's ship when they're encountering Dabura. And Vegeta states that Dabura isn't as terrible as you think. We saw him outside, and we could have easily handled him as long as we dodged his saliva. Supreme Kai asks if this was true, and what Goku says is, yeah, at the level we are now anyway. He would have been bad news before though. There was a guy named Cell 7 years ago. I guess they're about the same. So Goku and Vegeta are confident that they would be able to defeat even super perfect Cell, and as we discussed in our last video, it's arguable that Dabura is even more powerful than that, and yet Goku and Vegeta still think that they could defeat him. So that shows that Goku and Vegeta both got several times more powerful during the 7-year time skip, to where in their base forms, their Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2, they were more powerful when compared to Gohan's versions of those, even when Gohan was more powerful as a kid.
Before we move on to Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 3 Goku, I do want to make note of just regular Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 2 Goku. So Vegeta makes the statement that, oh wow, he surpassed the wall again, and he starts contemplating if he can even defeat Goku, right? Which is what leads to the Majin Vegeta boost. And you brought this up in the last video, and that's a good point because that's a direct statement confirming that, yeah, regular Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta and regular old Super Saiyan 2 Goku are stronger than the current Gohan, because just prior to that, Vegeta saw Gohan transform into a Super Saiyan 2 for Kibito and Shin, and he was not impressed whatsoever, yet he gets completely shocked at the power that Goku has showcased against Yakon. So again, that just goes to show that Goku and Vegeta have now surpassed Gohan and have gotten many times stronger since the Cell Saga fight.
And I do want to make mention that Vegeta actually got even more times more powerful than Goku did, because we have to remember, Vegeta actually trained in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber twice in the Cell Saga, and yet he was still weaker at his full power as a Super Saiyan than Goku and Gohan were. So that means that not only did Vegeta have to make up for the difference in power between them when they were just normal Super Saiyans, but then he also had to catch up to all the training gains that Goku had made during that time skip, which is part of the reason why he needed the Majin boost to begin with, because not only did he have to get basically twice as powerful as Goku needed to get, but then it's like, fuck, I'm still not as powerful as this guy when he goes Super Saiyan 2, so forget it, I'm selling my soul to evil, I'm gonna go full on edgelord, let's do this, and he does.
Now, Majin Vegeta versus Super Saiyan 2 Goku, there's not that much to talk about because they're pretty much even, but there is an interesting statement. So, Majin Vegeta is now equal to that of Goku, and they're going at it both in their Super Saiyan 2 forms, and before the fight, they make note of the fact that they surpassed Gohan when he was fighting against Cell. Now, what's interesting about this is Vegeta was right in front of Gohan when he fired off that huge Kamehameha and he let everything go, like in that famous scene, right? Just let it all out. He let everything go, and of course, as we mentioned in the last video, it's heavily implied that Goku was also sensing the battle, so they know exactly how strong that version of Gohan was when he went all out 100%, no holding back, and yet they're now stronger than that. That's a direct comparison, and Vegeta and Goku have surpassed not only the current Gohan, but also the Gohan of the old.
Yeah, and I think that actually helped them with getting more powerful as well, because this is something that seems to happen throughout the course of Dragon Ball Z especially, where if you know how powerful someone is who is well beyond your level of power, it actually gives you a greater chance of catching up to and surpassing that, because you're able to, like you mentioned before, image train against someone of that comparable level of power, and you're always able to have that as a kind of visualization and goalpost that you're going to surpass, which is likely why Goku and Vegeta were both able to make such massive gains to begin with, because they had a clear goal in mind that they then surpassed.
Mike is 100% right, and to back it up, take a look at the Tournament of Power, take a look at Base Frieza. It's shown to us that not only did he do mental training and image training, but he fought against Base Goku in the ROF arc, and in both versions got his butt handed to him, but yet in Hell, he's there to train and image train alongside Base Goku. He sees that visual representation of that Goku, and he's going up against them to the point to where he can almost like singly one-shot him and kill him, and then of course that would make his base stronger, then that would also make his golden form stronger because of that. So that is a good point to bring up, and as we talked about earlier, we saw Goku meditating, so it's very possible that Goku was possibly even fighting that version of Gohan with image training.
Just imagine Goku killing Gohan and Cell over and over and over again for 7 years in his head. Maybe he really is a bad dad.
Maybe he is, bro.
No wonder he didn't save him. Oh, I've killed him a bunch of times. I'll let Kid Buu kill him once. It's okay. But in addition to the boost that Goku got in his base and with Super Saiyan 2, there was another big boost that he got that put him above Vegeta as well, which was his Super Saiyan 3 transformation. A form which we're told from the super exciting guides is a 4 times increase from the Super Saiyan 2 form, which means that even though Vegeta had gotten as powerful as he was as Majin Vegeta, Goku was still 4 times stronger, making Vegeta only 25% of his power. Damn, talk about emasculation.
He sells his soul, then Goku still gets multiple times stronger. Yeah, way to go.
Yeah, he holds back during their fight just to make him think that he has a chance. Either that or Toriyama just thought of it afterward, but hey, it is Dragon Ball. So that's a significant boost in power, which we see demonstrated throughout the Buu saga, such as during the fight between Goku and Fat Buu. Now, despite the fact that Fat Buu dominated Majin Vegeta during their fight once he actually started trying, here it was a different story. Because after Goku went Super Saiyan 3, he was able to wreck Buu. Of course, Buu was able to fight back a little bit, but that was mostly due to his weird abilities such as his magical regeneration and instant learning. which allowed him to use the Kamehameha. But at no point was Goku at a disadvantage. And then another revelation is made later on in the arc, just before Goku fights Kid Buu, when he tells Vegeta, "I actually could have beaten the Fat Buu with Super Saiyan 3 when I met him, but I wanted the new generation to make sure they could take care of themselves," which we now know was a gigantic mistake because they continued to let him down over and over again.
Now, there's been a big debate over how strong Goku is as a Super Saiyan 3 because we see different versions of this Goku. We see the version that Mike is talking about, the one that battles Fat Buu, who isn't really going for the kill, he's just there to stall for time and doesn't really seem to be taking the fight all that seriously. Then you have the Goku who fights Kid Buu, who's going all out and he's having the time of his life, and this is him at his max power against what the anime tries to tell us is the strongest Buu. So let's just jump right into it, Mike. Do you think Goku throughout the course of the Buu arc got stronger?
This is a question where it's difficult to discern the answer because of a number of differences between the anime and manga versions. In the manga, there's nothing that really suggests that Goku got much stronger throughout the arc. Early on, we're told that Goku and Vegeta were even as Super Saiyan 2s. That's why Goku said he considered fusing with Vegeta to defeat Buu had he survived. Later on, Goku says that he and Vegeta together wouldn't be able to defeat base Super Buu without fusion. And in-universe, this was a matter of minutes before Goku fought Kid Buu. So there's nowhere I can really see where he could have gotten many times stronger. In the anime version, however, we're given some different information, where Goku says that Kid Buu is on a different level from all previous Buus, at least that he faced up until then. And we even see a brief fight between him and Bootanks in the anime, but the other statements from the manga still remain, so it comes off as even more contradictory. I know a lot of people believe that Goku is lying about his strength throughout the arc, but he had nothing to gain from doing so at this point. It's not like earlier when he was dead and still had a time limit on Earth, or was trying not to hurt Vegeta's pride, because by this point, Vegeta had already seen Goku's Super Saiyan 3.
A good friend of ours, Chuck, and Super Saiyan Ryu recently did a video talking about who is the strongest Buu, and what's interesting is they try to make sense of the Buu Saga scaling, and they even call it a shit show themselves in the anime, which I can kind of see it is a bit of a clusterfuck. So they try to make sense of that, and if you use Super's way of Saiya power or Zenkai or whatever, especially the Tournament of Power version, I guess maybe you could imply that because in the anime version of the Buu arc, Goku goes through a lot more fights than he does in the manga because of the filler scenes. He fights the representation of his friends and family inside of Buu. He also fights Bootanks as a Super Saiyan 3. And if you use like Super's Future Trunks arc and Tournament of Power way of getting stronger, where any fight they seem to be in, they obviously get stronger, then maybe you can kind of say Goku got stronger in the anime version of the Buu arc, but Zenkais and Saiyans increasing during battle and all that kind of seems like a concept that was dropped between Cell and Buu, and it wasn't as heavily implemented as it was in the Namek arc and in Super.
Yeah, the only Zenkai that we actually get confirmation about after Namek is Cell's, after he returns from his near-death experience when he blows himself up during the Cell games. So while I guess it is possible if you want to retroactively use Super's continuity with Dragon Ball Z, I personally tend to separate them into their own continuities. Even though Super does follow the events of the Buu Saga and takes place during the 10-year time skip, the scaling and a number of other in-universe mechanics are so different than in Dragon Ball Z, and characters get so incredibly powerful, even the humans in Piccolo, that it seems to me that they just changed how scaling works once we got to Super. So I'm not quite sure I'd say that was something that was happening during the Buu Saga.
What's interesting before we close out here is when it comes to Zenkais, there's actually a mention to this in the Buu Saga where Gohan gets pretty much just bukkakied by Bootanks, right? He gets healed, but then he doesn't really seem to get an increase. So I guess you can chalk that up to just Gohan already having all of his potential out. But again, if we're using Super logic, he should have gotten stronger after that, but it's implied that he didn't. So again, the Buu Saga really is just a mess when it comes to how these characters scale to each other. But I think depending on how you scale the characters, you probably could say that Goku did get stronger in the Buu arc, at least in the anime version, but in the original manga, Toriyama's vision is not really implied at all.
Yeah, and as we said before, scaling after Frieza is more subjective because we're not really given any numbers. Instead, Toriyama wanted to go in the opposite direction and undo much of the damage done by the introduction of power levels. I mean, they're cool in concept, but when you boil everything down to numbers, it ultimately takes away much of the focus from the story and makes everything dependent on which character has the bigger number, which was a flaw from Dragon Ball Z that they've at least attempted to get away from, although the execution has been less than stellar. So, overall, when it comes down to how powerful Goku became between the Cell Saga and the Buu Saga, it was definitely many times, where he went from weaker than suppressed Perfect Cell to many times stronger than Super Saiyan 2 Gohan in his Super Saiyan 3 form, perhaps as much as a 12 times increase in power overall.
I agree. As you said earlier, it's a bit hard to scale without numbers, but at the end of the day, going off of what we know from the guides, the increase of Super Saiyan 3, and the amount of training that Goku did, it's safe to say that he got many times stronger.
So how much power do you think Goku gained? Let us know in the comments down below. Check out MJTV in the end screen and description for some great content. Also, you can find a link to my Patreon down below in the description and in the comments. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.